All right, y'all. Today, the Bearded Wonder is going to explain how money works. After all, we all like money, and a question I get in pretty much every class every year is, well, if we just like money, why don't we just print more? Hopefully, this video answers that question for you. So, we're going to talk about John Locke, and we're going to talk about land here for a second. So, John Locke basically argued that in the state of nature, people own the land that they can use. So if you can add work, which you own, to land, that you own that land too. And so if I have the ability, for example, to make fabulous shrubbery, I am adding my work to that land, and therefore I own it. And so the question in a society quickly becomes, how can I use what I'm doing in order to make more of stuff that I want? And the answer is I trade it with other people. So, for example, if Benny Boy here wants to trade me a kite for my shrubbery, that's fine. So I go to his place, which, by the way, he's working, and that is what makes it his. And we trade. He makes me a nice little kite with a key on it, and I trim his hedges. And that works out really well. The problem is when we get to a situation where I can't barter with a person. For example, my buddy Sammy here does tea party planning. And other things as well that we won't mention because it's not school appropriate. However, he does tea party planning, and he wants to get his shrubbery shaped by the Bearded Wonders fabulous shrubbery grooming service. But maybe I'm not interested in his parties. They tend to lead in some property destruction, other things like that. Not really interested in a trade. And so, unfortunately, the economic activity breaks down. And this is where John Locke and Adam Smith both observe that money comes in handy. And that's why we're going to use it. So if my buddy Tommy here trades, he does like rowdy parties, and he declares that the basic rights of all people are life, liberty, and going to a tea party hosted by Samuel Adams. So he trades him money for the tea party. And now that Sammy has taken what he does best, party planning, and trades it to me for shrubbery, then I can use the cash to get what I want, which might not be party planning, but might be something else. And so now that I have money, I can buy land or vice versa. And so John Locke basically says, at this point, using land is any land that's worth anything for any reason. People can own it, which kind of theoretically makes it possible for us to own lots and lots of land. And so the question becomes, where's this money coming from? How do we get it? How do we use it? And specifically, how do we control it? So, the most common form of money in our society today is cash, or actually probably digital currency at this point. Usually I pay my mortgage for my house without money actually leaving my hand. It just kind of virtually leaves my bank account. To their virtual bank account. But where does money come from? And why is it valuable? Well, the simple answer to that question is it's valuable because everybody wants it. If people decided that they didn't really want money, then it wouldn't be valuable. So the question is, why do we want money? And why not just make as much of it as we can? And the answer to that is something that we call inflation. So if I want to buy something, I'm going to use money to buy it. But if the government prints more money, let's say they double the amount of money, that's called inflation. Inflation is when the government makes more money. Well, money is easier to get, which means I have changed the supply of money. When a supply of something goes up, the price goes down. So what happens when the price of cash goes down? Well, when the price of cash goes down, that means that I have to use twice as much of the cash in order to buy what I want. The person, let's say, who's got this fabulous Pittsburgh Steelers Santa hat. If cash is twice as easy to get, they're going to charge me twice as much cash to get it. So if the price was 10, now it's 20. So how do we control that? Well, it used to be the banks. The federal bank would control the flow of money. And if somebody wanted money, they would have to give something to the bank in order to get the money. And specifically what the bank would want is something called gold or silver, precious metals. And depending on the economy, how it's set up, they might have used a gold standard or a silver standard. Gold is far more rare. That means the supply is low, so the price is high. And silver is a lot more common. So when you use a gold standard, you typically don't put a lot of money out there. When you use a silver standard, there's a lot more money out there. But basically, you would trade those to the bank, and then you would get the cash. And literally, that cash would be an IOU. You can see here on this old $10 bill. They don't make them like this anymore. If you look at yours from Grandma for Christmas, it probably doesn't say this. But it says payable in silver coin to the bearer on demand, which means that I could take this $10 IOU to the bank. They would give me $10 of silver coins, and those $10 of silver coins would have $10 worth of silver inside of them. That's why old coins from 1964 or earlier sound funny if you drop them on a desk, because they literally made them out of silver. And they would put $1 worth of silver in a silver dollar. And so if I took this in, I'd walk out with 10 silver dollars. I'd have $10 worth of silver. It's an IOU. And then the bank would have to destroy this silver certificate. Well, we did away with that in 1964. And so the question is, well, if that's not controlling how the bank gives out money, then what is? And the answer is the U.S. government. So now the government kind of controls how much money goes out there and not, and that's literally the only thing that is controlling it, is they choose kind of what the inflation rate is. Literally, they pick how much your Hollister sweatshirt is going to cost by how much money they choose to print. And now they want to put it digitally. And so the question that I'm going to kind of leave you with is, if it's digital and the government can pick how much of it there is and it's not even easy to see, does that give them too much power? This is kind of an ongoing conversation, especially during coronavirus with the coin shortage that we have right now, which makes it hard to use cash. A lot of stores are actually refusing to take it because they can't make change. And so the question is, if it's all online and the government already kind of controls how much it is and how much everything costs, are we kind of making ourselves dependent on the government, where we're not economically free anymore? It's a question for politics. It's a question for decisions, but we do need to understand the economics behind it. And hopefully by understanding money and how it works, now you can make an informed decision. That's it for me today. I hope you have a good day.